Welcome back to the third quarter of the Bobby Dupre Show, along with my sidekick, Andrew.
Good morning.
And we want a sponsor right out the gate.
Oh, I can handle that. How about Carl's Thrifty Way? Go down and get your medicine, your prescriptions all filled in right there at Carl's Thrifty Way. He can help take care of it. You know, with the holiday and the places being closed, a lot of places will be closed on Monday and Tuesday. Hurry up and get your prescriptions filled now, so you got all that for the holidays. They'll sit down and talk with you. Their trained pharmacists will tell you about what to expect with your medicine. And don't forget about them for decorating ideas, for gifts,
big discounts right now taking place. So, and they have all types of beautiful gifts. They go to the market and bring back some very novel ideas for our area.
And it's also Dixie Storage. All your storage needs, personal and commercial, throughout St. Landry Parish. Easy access in Washington, Opelousas, and Port Barre. Everything from, if you just got a small unit, you need to put a couple of things in. You need climate control. The big ones to put your RV and boats, where you can plug in your RV to keep your little fridge percolating. They can do all that. They've got warehouses if you're a big business. They've got their Dixie One trucking that can help move inventory control around for you. They can handle that. They've got railroad spur access as well, and they've got the McCormick Event Center in Port Barre. It handles about 350 to 400 people with a full-blown restaurant, kitchen, and tons of parking. Don't forget the sister company A Plus Glass, with locations in Opelousas and Lafayette, to do your personal and commercial glass work, buildings, cars, inspections.
We have several deaths I'd like to briefly mention here. A young man, and when I say a young man, I'm talking about a young man 48 years old, Scotty Sparrow, well known. Bob, his father, has been a veterinarian in our community and a well-known person in the community for many years. Scotty was in coaching over at OC at one time. Then he went over to Church Point. That I'm going to briefly get that. And then he had retired from the coaching and was working over at Opelousas Catholic as assistant principal, according to one of the articles I read.
And as athletic director.
Okay, and as athletic director, good. And of course, he's leaves behind a son and of course a wife and a daughter, and to all of them we offer our deepest of sympathies. I've known him since he was a young man, and we certainly lost a good young person who had his heart in the Opelousas and the young people of the community.
And a lot of the interaction families had with him was when you had a child that had done something wrong, misbehaved. So he's the guy to help get that child back on the right path. So.
And then Henry Monte. Henry Monte, of course, is, I guess, best known as an educator, originally from your hometown of Palmetto.
I didn't realize he was born in Palmetto, but it makes sense, you know, that all the bright ones come from there.
That's correct. And Mr. Monte, and I wonder when he lost his arm.
Yeah, was it?
I never did ask that.
An accident? Was it military? I don't know.
He served in the military. It says in the obituary
so you would think
here.
Maybe it was military or later.
And of course, I was very familiar with him as an educator, and he was an assistant superintendent under John Dupre, my brother, and then he became superintendent when John retired. And a person real well known, and he's survived, of course, by his wife of 57 years, Miss Roberta, and I took the opportunity and went over to the funeral home and visited with the family. And we have a picture of Dale Richard's son, David, who was standing at the front door, near the front door, speaking with friends and probably relatives. And it's going to be a picture by himself, and you even recognized him.
I recognize him.
There he is, right there. You just passed him up.
All right.
Right,
bingo.
Oh, there you go.
Got him.
Right there. If that doesn't look, the only difference between, that's a Dale all over. I mean, as soon as I saw him, I said, "You Dale's son, David." He said, "You remember my name and all?" I said, "Sure, I do." And he is in the pistol sales business in Lafayette. Has been for many years. And his hair looks like his daddy's. I mean, the mannerisms, everything. And so I'm certainly glad that I was able to go by and visit with the family. And then another person who passed away was Mr. Samuel Flower Walker Jr., Mr. Sam, as we called him. 96 years young, from Lafayette. Well, they were, I would imagine, born and raised in Opelousas here. And I got to knowing Mr. Sam, his brother, Mr. R.A., that's what Megan would call him, Mr. R.A., had a camp next to mine at 3 Mile Lake. And during the illness that Mr. R.A. had, we got to knowing his brother Sam. He and Sam were very close. And I had got Mr. R.A. to come back to the Catholic Church after hadn't been in the church. He told me outside of the church in Krotz Springs, the little Catholic church, he had not been into a Catholic church in over 25 years. Mm-hmm. Every week on around Wednesday or Thursday, he'd call me, "Are you coming in this weekend?" Mm-hmm. And faithfully came to church and went to communion, and really
he got back right with God.
Got back right with God. And then he went into the hospital, and I got Father Kerrville, Father Bob Kerrville, got to really liking him and learning the story about me getting him there and all of that. And he came to visit him in the hospital, and they diagnosed cancer of the throat. Mm-hmm. And probably died before he even, might have taken a treatment or two, but he died almost shortly thereafter. Mm-hmm. And for a man that had friends and had relatives, but no money, he had the finest, the funeral that's stayed in my mind as much as any funeral that I've ever attended. Mm-hmm. And it started, Father Kerrville came to Lafayette where he was buried, and he was at the funeral home, and the veterans, which he was a Second World War veteran, and Mr. John Stute and all of them, they all worked at Southern Pacific Railroad, and they all came there dressed in their uniforms, and they all saluted him, took a poppy off and put the poppy in the casket with Mr. R.A. And then we went to then had Mass there. Father Kerrville came and said Mass for us. And then we went to the burial grounds, and they had the 21-gun salute. I mean, the hair on my arm just stood there. I mean, it was such a beautiful, and Mr. Sam and I stayed close for a long time after that. And of course, he has a sister that's still living here in Opelousas, and of course, she is Mrs. Sandoz, mm-hmm. J.B. Sandoz, she's Mrs. Sidney Sandoz.
Oh, okay.
And
sure.
what? There
you go.
Mrs. Yeah, that's what, it doesn't say her name, Mrs. Sidney Sandoz of Opelousas. So I don't know, I had to give this, and cleaning up my house last week, Mr. R.A. had given Megan a little Pall Mall cigarette lighter. Uh-huh. That they would give away when you'd buy a carton. They'd give you one of those, and I saved it, and you know, it brought back all these memories. And then his brother dies. I mean, it's so strange that I've got this story, and everybody says, "Bobby, you need to write your book. You have all the pictures, you have everything you need, except I guess the person to start writing the book for me." And one of these days, when I get old, that's what I'm waiting till I get old.
You got to wait till you retire.
That's correct.
Steamboat Warehouse, get Mama away from the smell of her own cooking, which I did last night. Went to the beautiful Steamboat Warehouse down in Washington, Louisiana. Great atmosphere, great food. I had the Steamboat Gangplank, which is that good ribeye with crawfish etouffee on it. It was excellent. We had the shrimp and oysters wrapped in bacon fried. We had, I mean, just one plate after another, gumbo, you name it, we had it. All excellent. Steaks, seafood. Chef owner Jason Hugate was running around. Great atmosphere. My wife had a good glass of wine. You know, great wine selection if you like that. If you want a Bloody Mary, they got those to go by the Steamboat Warehouse. And the 7th annual Gumbo Cook-Off, which they do every year, that they sponsor, is coming up. It's going to be the end of January, but just want to remind everybody now that that's coming. They're going to help Miss Maya Narcisse. That's less than a month away. If you want to get involved already, you can call Chip at 351-6943 or call the Steamboat and talk to Jason about it.
That's right. We try to help them as much as we possibly can because they're trying to help someone else.
You're correct. You want to show some more photos?
Yes, let's show a couple more if you don't mind. We attended a...
How about this first? You got the gasoline.
Gasoline is under $3, and that's at the downtown ShopRite and Tobacco Plus in downtown Opelousas, that is. And then we have another picture later.
A little later where it goes down some more.
Where it goes down to $2.94.
Right.
And of course, here's some pictures, people attending the 200 Club that Chief Gallo, I always want to start off with
but
good morning, Chief.
Worked with Kai.
Understand you're doing well, and that's good. His health is doing much, much better.
Excellent.
He had a transplant, kidney transplant, yes, sir. And Chief Gallo had this, and it was held at the Equine Sales Company on Gilboa Road. Beautiful facility. And here on the left is Philip Burley. All the way on the right is John, better known as Brother Miller. And in the middle is Dale Schmidt. Hadn't seen Dale in a good while. He says, Bobby, it's been 2 years. He remembers.
With a San Jose Shark hockey jersey on.
How about that? You recognize it. That is good. And this here, I've got the names, and just give me a little.
I'm waiting on you.
Where you went with? Oh, there it is, right here on the same. On the right is John Victorian, and his wife next to him is Miss Sidonia. All the way on the left is Mr. Green and his wife next to him. And the story about Mr. John Green, of course, is I met him for the first time when he was living in Alaska.
In Anchorage.
Anchorage, Alaska. He found out that I was at a such hotel, and he came and made a visit. And of course, he has a lot of relatives and has moved here, but still goes back quite often. Just returned from Anchorage again. I guess he's got family and friends there. Here on the left there is none other than Malcolm Lalonde. And I wonder what he and Pat Morrow on the right. That was a...
He's probably giving Pat advice.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's right. he knows it. My two good friends. And here's recently retired, by the way, Opelousas City policeman, detective,
cold case specialist,
Dwayne Grimmett, and our St. Landry Parish tax assessor, Ryan Duplasham, my longtime friend and boxing buddy. And here is Mrs. Victorian, my neighbor Jerry, Mr. Victorian, and Chief Gallo all the way on the right. And Ms. Victorian is principal at Cresswell,
Elementary?
And she just initiated, since this terrible incident took place in Connecticut, and she is locking up all the doors of the classrooms as a means of trying to secure all of our precious little children. And I guess that was one of the worst, what the president used, carnage.
One of the worst tragedies ever in the country for just shooting in general, but then also at a school.
20 and 26 and 7-year-old children. You know, that's just...
And it's hard on everybody.
Multiple times. He shot some of them as much as 3 and 4 times. Shot his mama.
11 times one. 11 times.
One of them 11 times.
Yeah, terrible.
And that's some of them want to call that a hunting rifle. Well, I don't know what it is. That's another day when we have a lot of time and we know more about what's going to happen. But Chief, you had a real nice, but we have some more pictures here.
We got Roseanne and Bob Mitchell.
Like I said last week's program, I said she's everywhere. She's attending everywhere.
Jerry and Smitty.
Here's Jerry and Smitty. And Smitty, of course, Smitty Ackery is the owner of the Taco Bell, and I talked about Taco Bell and showed a picture of one of his workers and Miss Geraldine. I asked him how she's doing. He says Miss Geraldine's still doing well.
We got to take a 1-minute break, folks. We'll see you on the other side of one.
Lee, that went by fast.